Grim Dawn crossbow builds, yeah.
Hello everyone, welcome to Grim Dawn Crossbow Builds, where all we talk about are crossbow builds for Grim Dawn. Today we're looking at a Cabalist, which is the combination of an occultist and a necromancer. We are using the 3-piece Harbinger's message set, which includes a crossbow, and a conduit amulet that converts bone harvest to chaos damage. This is a very wacky build that uses the Time Dilation celestial power to reduce the cooldown on 3 skills, Sigil of Consumption, Bone Harvest, and Doom Bolt, all fully converted to chaos damage. Blood of Dreeg is our healing buff. Curse of Frailty is our resistance shredding debuff. Bone Harvest is on right click. Sigil of Consumption is on the toolbar. And Doom Bolt is on left click with the Time Dilation proc. We've also got Mark of Torment for some defense. Let's look at our skills. Mainly we're an occultist invested in Doom Bolt and Sigil of Consumption. The Sigil is sitting pretty close to the hard cap. You can get to the hard cap with better rolls on some of your gear. All flat damage on this skill is converted to chaos through global conversion, and it triggers the Eldritch Fire for chaos resistance reduction. Its modifier, Destruction, is at the hard cap, giving more damage and duration. Our other main skill, Doom Bolt, is also fully converted to chaos damage and has a ton of weapon damage added to it. This is very easily hard capped and activates the Time Dilation proc. Our exclusive aura is Possession to scale our chaos damage and give us global damage absorption. This is close to the hard cap. Our not so exclusive aura is Soleil's Witchfire. This is hard capped, and all of this flat chaos damage goes into both our Doom Bolt and our Bone Harvest attacks. Its modifier, Second Right, gives us crit damage and vitality damage, also converted to chaos. Our debuff spell, Curse of Frailty, is at the soft cap for a bigger radius and more of a slowing effect. Its modifier, Vulnerability, is the important part here, shredding chaos resistance and DA. This is close to the hard cap. Our healing spell is Blood of Dreeg, giving us OA and health regen, while its modifier, Aspect of the Guardian, adds to our acid and physical resistances. This is at the soft cap, which is a pretty good place for it. On the necromancer side, our main skill is Bone Harvest. This gives us another big cooldown attack and activates the Hungering Void proc. The base skill is near the hard cap, while its modifiers are a little bit above the soft cap. Dread adds more range, more damage, and a confuse effect, while Soul Harvest offers a buff to all of our attacks. This flat damage is not added to Sigil of Consumption, but it is added to Bone Harvest and Doom Bolt. We've got 1 point in the Necromancer's weapon pool skills, Reaping Strike and Necrotic Edge. These are optional, but it's nice to have something going off when you get an unlucky streak with Time Dilation and you wind up doing a bunch of default attacks. Our aura from the Necromancer is Spectral Binding. We're using this for the health and OA. This is a bit above the soft cap and activates the Wayward Soul. We've got 1 point in its modifier, Spectral Wrath, to slow enemy attacks and make our relic and weapon component procs go off more often. Any leftover points you can put into Mark of Torment for more damage absorption. This is also affected by Time Dilation, so we have pretty good uptime on this skill. Let's look at our devotions. Our goal here is to complete Aeon's Hourglass and Dying God. Thankfully, their affinity requirements are very similar, a lot of blue points and some red points. You can begin with a point in blue to take the Sailor's Guide, and a point in purple to take the Empty Throne. A point in green will get you the Spider, and a point in red will open up the Wretch. From there you can take Chariot of the Dead for the Wayward Soul proc, and Soleil's Witchblade for the Eldritch Fire proc. You're probably going to be leveling with a Scepter and Shield, so Hydra and Kraken can wait until later. In the meantime, you might consider taking the Fiend for a fun leveling proc. You can also take these smaller blue point constellations, Eel and Lizard. There are a couple of different ways we can get the blue points we need, but I find this one to be the easiest. Whenever you start using your crossbow, you can refund the Spider and your points in the crossroads, and take Kraken and Hydra. I would probably go for Aeon's Hourglass first because Time Dilation is a real game changer. It feels quite magical when it finally comes online. Lastly, you can go for the Hungering Void proc, which most Chaos builds will take. Our Life Leech from Sigil of Consumption makes up for the active health cost. Oh yeah, and we have 1 point in the Foot of the Revenant for some Energy Leech. This is a very energy-hungry build, but keep in mind that Time Dilation also affects your energy potions. Let's have a look at our gear. In our weapon, helm, and glove slots are pieces of the Harbinger's Message. This gives us a very powered up Doom Bolt with 160% weapon damage on it. It also gives us some global Vitality to Chaos conversion on the helm, and some global skill cooldown reduction. This helm can be crafted at the blacksmith. Make sure you're looking at the level 94 version and not the level 75 version, which is mostly useless. Our amulet is the Conduit of Undying Whispers. This comes from a blueprint that spawns at the vendor in the Morganeth Skeleton Key dungeon. We're looking for the one that converts Bone Harvest to Chaos damage. You have a 1 in 8 chance of getting this each time you craft it. This fully converts the cold and pierce damage on Bone Harvest to Chaos, but not the Vitality damage. It does give us global Vitality to Chaos conversion to help with that. This is also relevant for the Vitality damage on Sigil of Consumption. Our first ring is Hysteria, which is a random drop. This hard caps destruction and gives us fire to chaos conversion, which we also need for Sigil of Consumption. Our second ring is Void Heart for more fire to chaos conversion, points to possession and dread, and the Curse of the Void proc. Our shoulder armor is Benjar's Pauldrons. This comes from one of the Chthonic Nemeses and buffs Bone Harvest and Soleil's Witchfire. Keep an eye out for the suffix of Soul Warding, which will give you even more points in Bone Harvest. Our boots are the mythical Voidwalker foot pads. These give us 4 points to the Sigil of Consumption line and scale our chaos damage. Our medal is the Rylock Mark, which I usually find in the Chthonic area where we rescue Ulgrim. There are a lot of different affixes here that can be helpful. I settled for the Oppressor's prefix, which buffs Bone Harvest. You might also find the suffix of Hungering Rifts, which buffs Sigil of Consumption. The base item adds flat damage and a slowing effect to the sigil. For our belt, we've got the Mythical Sash of the Bloodlord. This more or less completes our fire and vitality to chaos conversion. It also gives us 4 points to Doombolt. In the relic slot, we have the Eldritch Pact. This is a pretty obvious choice for an occultist chaos build. The offensive proc goes off quite frequently. On our legs, we have the mythical Demon Bone leg plates. These give us some much needed armor scaling and add points to Curse of Frailty and Soleil's Witchfire. If you can't find these, you might consider Anasteria's leg armor that buffs Mark of Torment. And on our chest, we have the mythical Devil's Cage Hauberk. This adds 3 points to Sigil of Consumption and gives us a really fun trap effect. And now for some words on leveling. I recommend starting on the occultist side and leveling with Sigil of Consumption and Doombolt. My weapon of choice was the Bloodsworn Scepter. This is a pretty common drop from human chthonic enemies, and it gives a hefty amount of chaos damage to Sigil of Consumption. It also tends to give a lot of global vitality to chaos conversion, allowing us to play a chaos build pretty much the whole way through the game. For an offhand, I was using the Vampiric Bonewall Shield. This cuts down on the recharge time and adds to the duration of Sigil of Consumption. These usually drop in the Mountain Deeps area on the way to Homestead. My main chest armor while leveling was the Skinflayer Raiment. This buffs Sigil of Consumption, but you may not see it on your playthrough. For a more consistent drop, you might consider the Chosen Robes from Forgotten Gods. Many human enemies have a chance to drop these, and they also buff Sigil of Consumption. There's also lots of good faction gear for this build. At level 35, you can use the Devil's Crossing Spalders, and at level 50, you can use the Legion Spellbearer Helm. This gives a little bit of skill cooldown reduction early. For jewelry, I would craft a Rewari Girdle Belt, which buffs chaos damage and gives +1 to all occultist skills. I would also pick up a Putrid Necklace from one of the early cavern areas. For rings, I was using standard leveling stuff like the Slith Primal Ring. And I had a few other lucky drops like the Spellmaker's Grip Gloves and the Bone Weave Leggings. But basically, whatever you find is gonna be fine. Sigil is a great leveling skill and you don't need great gear to make it work. Once you add in Doombolt for bosses, leveling should be really easy. The whole Necromancer mastery doesn't become that relevant until we craft our Conduit Amulet. And now for an SR run.